I bet you're asking yourself, Corey, didn't you just change your solar bore pump last year? I did. But we got an upgrade in this box. We've got some upgraded panels, and I'll tell you why we're doing it. So if you don't know who I am, I'm Corey. Me and my wife Amanda, we live 100% off-grid on 100 acres in the wheat belt of WA. So this week we went and bought a new pump and a couple of solar panels and a few bits and pieces from a company called Altec based in Welshpool in Perth. Altec is the company we got our house solar system from 4 years ago, and that's still going strong as. Altec do new and second life panels and batteries, a whole range of electronics including Vitron gear, cables, connectors, everything you need to build a solar system, whether it's for your camping weekend or for your two-storey house in the bush. They will design a complete system of every product, and they even ship Australia-wide. So you may think this is a sponsored video, but I tell you it's not. I just genuinely believe that they are a great Aussie company. They back their products and they back their service. Give them a call, mention Corey and Amanda from Rockpile, and they'll probably look after you. So the pump we chose is a 210 watt, 3-inch diameter bore pump. It's rated at 77 metres head and has a max flow rate of 1,200 litres an hour. And we're going to combine them with two 200 watt panels that are 45 volt VOC with just over 5 amps of output, and that will be plenty of juice to pump our water 35 metres in elevation, 200 metres that way to our tank. So they do a whole range of pumps. This one is the smallest one. The biggest one they do is a 1500 watt pump, 4-inch diameter, that has a max head of just over 200 metres, and it'll flow a max flow rate of approximately 4,300 litres an hour. They do a whole range of pumps in between, 500 watt, 750 watt, 1000 watt, and I think they do a 1250 watt. All their prices are on their website, very easy to navigate. Any questions, give them a call, but we'll chuck a link in the description to the link of the pump that we use and a link to their pump section on their site for you to check out. I will say I did open this the other day just to make sure that we had 100% of the stuff for when we're going to do this install, and there was one little thing that I've added, and I'll explain that to you as we get to that stage. Okay, so this is what comes in the box. You get the main thing, which is the bore pump, and it comes with 30 metres of cable. So you get the control panel here, which is in a very nice aluminium waterproof box, and that's your control circuit board there. So your solar panels plug into the connectors, and then you put your pump wiring through one gland, and the tank sensor wires through the other gland, and it's all labelled where it all goes. It's all in the instruction manual as to how to wire it up. It's very straightforward. You get a little bag of goodies, some electrical tape, some thread tape, a bit of heat shrink, little hose clamp, screwdriver, various little wire crimps and connectors, everything you need really to wire it up. And in this box here, it comes with a spare impeller and sleeve, and it comes with a float switch. You can actually hook up three float switches. You have a float switch that goes down in the bore, which we're going to sit about 1 metre above the pump, and that'll recognise that if the water goes too low, the float switch will disengage the switch. It's just like an on-off switch, but it's controlled by the movement of this little float, and that'll stop the pump from running dry. Now you can hook up, it does have the ability in the control box to hook up 2 other float switches in a water tank that signal a low and a high. So if you're filling a tank, which we're not down here because our tank is 200 metres that way, and obviously I can't run cables right up to the tank. But if you had a tank next to your pump, you could control your pump. So when your tank goes low, the pump will come on, tank fills up, hits the next switch, the pump goes off. And this is me little bit of me few goodies that I picked up extra. We use 25mm blue line as our supply pipe coming out of the bore, so I had to get a adapter to screw it into the pump. The pump has a 3/4 female thread on top of the pump, so I've just gone 3/4 to 20mm and then to our 25mm blue line adapter, so I had to buy that. Also, hang on, and I also got a 32mm end cap and a 32mm socket adapter, and that will just glue in there, and then that's just a poly pipe like threaded end cap which will go in the end, and this will sit inside it. Okay, I don't just want to have the float switch hanging on its own in the bore casing. I just don't want to risk that it could get caught on the cables or the side of the pipe housing going down in the pump. And then we'll drill a series of holes in the bottom and a series of holes in the top so the water can flow through. And as the water, if the water level gets low, the water will drain out of this, the float switch will signal there's no water, and it will turn the pump off. So I had to buy that as well. Now these are only like there's probably like 20 bucks there for that. And I also got a couple of MC4 connectors, just because I didn't have any, and I just wanted a few, just because we are working with solar, and they are the preferred connector for that. And I got some little resin heat shrink crimps as well, just in case. And I also got some resin filled, or glue filled, is it glue filled or resin filled? I think it's actually glue filled. Glue filled heat shrink, so when you melt it with the heat gun, the glue actually melts and it helps create that seal for sealing cables when they're in a water environment. So they're the few things that I picked up extra. You may have them floating around, you may not, but just be aware that you may need them. Now also there's one more thing that you may need. We don't need it in this scenario, but fly went in my eye. You'll need to run 2 cables from the float switch to the control panel. Now depending on the depth of your bore, that's how many meters of cable you will need. I'm going to reuse the cables that I have going down to the existing bore pump, so we don't need to buy extra cable for that. So all we've got to do now is just bloody get it in the ground. Okay, so plan is we're going to remove these panels, because these panels put out too many amps. They're the existing panels we had for our previous pump, and we're going to reduce the amps but bump up the voltage with these panels, as I said. So we'll just remove these off the stand. We'll put the new ones on here. I've already pulled the old pump out. I did that the other day because I was a bit excited, you know. So, and then we'll just go pop this new one in, and hopefully in the next 10 minutes, 2 hours. Depends on how many trips we have to go back to the shed for, to see what I forgot. Now, I will say something though. I did read the instructions about the control panel. It does have all these various buttons and lights on there. It may take me a few goes to figure this bit out. You want that? Yep. So that's the panels in place. Now I'm not wiring these back up yet, because these actually will go into some branch connectors, and that'll plug into the computer control panel. We'll just start by thread taping the adapter that goes into the pump here. Alright, this is not a thread tape tutorial, but you know how I do thread tape. I like to have it coming off the bottom of the roll, just saying. Alright, and that'll screw in there. Now, I'm just going to do it hand tight, because these are like spanners. So we're pretty tight there, so our pipe will just sit in there and clamp off. That's great. Now the next job is we're just going to construct this little doodah. Now I'm just going to drill a hole through the centre of this, and that'll just go up and nut onto that. And we need to drill a few holes in the top of this so the water will be happily to get in and out. Now we get the little socket here, and I'm going to drill some more holes in the bottom of that. Give it a little bit of glue. We'll put this in, little twist. So I'm probably going to screw it down to about there, so you can see how that'll just sit in that little cover nicely, and it's only that much movement in it. Now we just got to test this to see which way on and off is. So I'm just going to get the multimeter. I lost my little probe on the black one. I've got to get another one. But when you touch the two wires together, and that tells you you've got like conductivity. So if I touch that and that, there's no beep. And if Mrs. RP's hand comes in and turns upside down, that's on and that's off. Future Corey here. Some of you guys may have already figured it out, but this part here catches us out later on. That'll essentially get tied onto there, so I can cut this cable off about there. We'll just strip them a little bit. You can tell we're in bloody Australia with these flies. And we will slide that on, because you can't slide it on after. Okay, so that will just crimp onto there, like that. That one will go in there. Okay, and then we'll just give it a little crimp. I'm just kind of taping this up a little, and then hopefully we can slide that over. Got about 30 mil hanging out over each end of the cables. Now we'll just go grab the heat gun and we'll melt this heat shrink, and we'll try and get the glue to melt and flow nicely. So that's what I'm looking for. I'm just pressing this down with my hands just because I want a good seal around these two little wires here. You can see on the bigger cable how it seals quite nicely around, and as this cools down it actually goes quite hard. Okay, so that's that. Now it's time for the pump. If you're not familiar with these fittings, they have basically just a little locking washer with a seal, and the pipe, this goes on first, that goes on next. This slides in here. You got to give it a little bit of a push, get it in, and then this does up, and that's what holds it in. Okay, so that's that. So our next job now is to tape this cable, you know, every metre or whatever roughly to the pipe, just so it's kind of all one bit as it's going down the hole. I'm not sure if I mentioned, but our bore is 33 metres deep. The slots start at 25 metres down, and we have the pump at about 22 metres. That's where it hangs down. And the water level is about 10 metres down from the ground level here. I'll tie this rope off. There is like two little holes where you can put the cable or rope through. So you can see the holes here where I brought the rope through. And now we just work our way up with the tape. Keep in mind that you don't want to have the cable pulled tight when you're taping this on. So when you drop it down, all the pressure, the downward pressure, is on your like rope support system or cable support system, and not on the actual electrical cable or the pipe. Okay, so I think we're ready to drop it in the hole. Pump, goodbye. Can you hold that?
Let go of the rope.
Don't let go of the rope. So I've got a little slot, which I'll show you. just in the side of the pipe here that the cable sits in. But the slot was not quite wide enough for the blue cable, and I don't want to force it, so I'm just going to cut a little bit out. You can see that little slot here that the cables come through. So there's no pressure on those cables, they're just hanging there. There's no pressure really on this pipe. All the pressure's on the rope. And that kind of goes back somehow like that. Our job here is done. Let's head that way. Now we did fall a bit short in this blue one to reach where I wanted to put the control panel onto here, so I am going to extend them. Actually, maybe I might mount the control panel first so I kind of know where we're like heading to, you know. Did come with these little brackets which I actually just found in the box. Didn't show them to you earlier, but they bolt on the back here. So you've got nice easy mounting to whatever surface you want. Okay. Voila. So I've just run those cables in a conduit. I'll dig them in later because you're probably sick of me digging. So I'm just going to wire these in one by one. I do have labels on the cables. So these are U1. Got these lovely little connectors here. So they just go over there. Lovely. I'll give it a little squish. That's one. So that goes in U. Okay, so that's U1. W1. Okay. It's them two. Now this last one should have V written on it. Woohoo! We're right. V. You did notice I extended those cables because the blue cable wasn't long enough. So we've used 6mm solar cable, like tinned solar cable. That's why it doesn't look like the copper colour. I find the tinned stuff is just a lot better. And these like UV resistant. Okay, now it's just the two for the low water sensor. So you have a common here, which is the earth, essentially. And you have the well, so you got the well, which is the low water in the well. You've got TH for tank high and TL for tank low. And that's if you want to add switches into the tank, which like I said before, we're not doing that. Okay, all wired up. So now we'll just close this lid up. All right, and let's connect some panels. Okay, so we're going to wire these in parallel. Basically, we just grab the positive and positive off each one, join them into the branch connector, and then grab the other, you know, negative and negative off each one. All right, so that essentially keeps the volts the same but doubles the amps. So now, oh, you know what I should have done? I should have moved that box a bit up that way. I could have plugged them straight in. All right, I'm going to have to make up two little cables to join these two into those two. We just plug and play. Plug and play, boom. And then these plug on here. Okay, we have power. Let's go see if it's pumping. It's not pumping. Okay then. So that's the pump install. Okay, I'm going to have a read of the manual. I've just been racking my brain trying to figure out what's going on here because it didn't come on. The pump didn't work. I'm just trying to retrack everything I did. So what I ended up doing is I disconnected the low water sensor wire in the control box. It has like a built-in feature that if it senses low water, it'll cut it out, but then it'll automatically try and restart the pump. I think it's 3 times 15 seconds apart because it's thinking that the water's going to be replenished. And then if it doesn't do that, it waits 10 minutes and then tries to restart again. So I just disconnected the wires and just sat there with the cogs turning and the pump started. And I thought, okay. So that tells me that I actually had this switch the wrong way round. Upside down, Miss Jane. If you know that reference, leave a comment. So I've just pulled it back out and I've turned it up the other way, and now we will see if that makes a difference. Let's drop this back in the hole. Okay, and I'll just tie this off. Let's go. Turn it on. And we have water. I did everything correct apart from that little float valve upside down. Remember that? And this is our bore. Crystal clear. It's so good. It's so cold. Got it all connected. This is the tap so I can get water when I'm down here. Check valve, pipe up to the tank. Everything's flowing well. Now this pump does 77 metres head, which if you work that out into PSI, works out to 1.4 PSI per metre of head pressure. So we're talking 1.4 times 77, just over 100. 110, you can work that out, around that, between 100 and 110 of PSI. So we turn that off, and now it's going up the hill. I can hear it. I can just feel the motor humming away. So let's have a look at the working control panel here. As you can see, we're in a little bit of cloud now, so the pump RPMs are down. You can adjust the RPM of the pump by just doing the up-down arrow. So 4,000 is maximum, and you can just tune it to whatever you want to do. So we'll just go maximum, because why not? And then you can cycle between the RPM that we're on now, so the little light on RPM. That's how many volts the panels are putting out. That's how many amps the panels are doing. And that's the watts that the panels are doing. And you can see we go back to RPM. So it's all working as it should. The MPPT light is flashing. Power light is on. 100%. And when the sun comes out from behind a cloud, this will ramp up to like getting close to 4,000 RPM. So as you can see, we're just ramping up a bit now. The sun's coming out from behind a cloud. So 2,000, we just went from 1,000 to 2,000. As the panels just gather energy and put it into the pump, 3,000, 3,200. We're going back behind a cloud. So we're coming back down again, as you can see. So it just fluctuates depending on the cloud cover and the sun input to the panels. I think that is fantastic. Alright, so my overall thoughts of the Alt-Tech bore pump. Right, let's be honest here. I'm extremely happy with the quality of the pump. Like just the look, the feel, the fittings, the nuts and bolts, everything looks like A1 grade. The fact it's got 30 metres of cable is a blessing, because you don't have to join other cable on with the splice kit and like risk water ingress in the join. That's perfect. There was a little stuff up on my behalf, and that was that little float switch up the wrong way. Also, what stuffed me up is the fact that I didn't fully read the instructions and realise that the control panel actually has a, I can't remember now, 15 to 20 second delay before it tries to start the pump again. So when I disconnected the wires to the float valve to test that, I didn't allow for that delay, and I was going, what's going on? So Corey, read the instructions properly. I love the control box, the fact you can adjust the RPM on it, you can monitor the volts, the amps and the watts on it, turn it on and off very easily. The two panels seem to be working fine for us. Again, we're not really pumping this pump to full maximum. We're about 30 metres elevation change from here, and the water is about 15 metres down that hole. So from the water level to the tank level is about 45 metres, and the pump's rated at 77 metres, so we got ample oomph and head pressure to reach the pump. So I just want to give a shout out to Alt-Tech and Donald, who I deal with there. I was chatting to him over the previous years about trying to get hold of some solar pumps, because what is not better than pumping water from a well or a bore off second life solar panels? No batteries, just totally self-sufficient little cycle there. And if you want to see the rest of our solar system, because we got all our other stuff for our house build from them 4 years ago, check out this video here. See ya.
back in, does it again, that one.
That's cold. That is so cold.